the woman who painted flowers like no one else, Georgia O'Keeffe. Have you ever looked at a flower so closely that it no longer looked like a flower? Instead, it became a landscape, a mystery, or even a symbol of human emotion. Few artists changed the way we see nature as profoundly as Georgia O'Keeffe. She wasn't interested in painting flowers the way everyone else did. She wanted people to stop, to slow down, and truly look. Today, Georgia O'Keeffe is celebrated as one of America's greatest artists. Her paintings sell for millions of dollars. Museums around the world proudly display her work. Yet behind these iconic images was a woman who spent her entire life refusing to follow anyone else's rules. This is the story of the artist who transformed flowers, deserts, bones, and mountains into timeless masterpieces. This is the remarkable life of Georgia O'Keeffe. Born in Wisconsin in 1887, Georgia grew up on a dairy farm surrounded by endless fields and open skies. Nature became her first classroom. Unlike many children, she spent hours observing subtle colors, changing light, and organic forms. These quiet observations would later become the foundation of her artistic vision. She knew she wanted to become an artist while still very young. At a time when women were expected to marry rather than build professional careers, Georgia chose a different path. She studied art in Chicago and New York, mastering traditional academic techniques. But something felt wrong. Everyone was painting the same subjects in the same styles. Portraits, still lives, landscapes. Everything looked predictable. She wondered, was art supposed to imitate reality? Or could it express something deeper? That question changed her life forever. One of her teachers introduced her to modern ideas about art. Instead of copying objects exactly as they appeared, artists could paint emotions, rhythm, and personal experience. Georgia became fascinated. She began making abstract charcoal drawings unlike anything she had ever created before. They weren't pictures of objects. They were visual expressions of feelings. Curving lines, flowing forms, simple shapes. When photographer and gallery owner Alfred Stieglitz saw these drawings, he immediately recognized something extraordinary. Without asking permission, he exhibited them in his famous New York gallery. Georgia was shocked. At first, she was angry, but when she met Stieglitz, she discovered someone who believed completely in her talent. Their relationship would become one of the most influential partnerships in American art. Stieglitz promoted her work tirelessly. He organized exhibitions, introduced her to collectors, photographed her hundreds of times. Eventually, they married. Together, they became central figures in the growing movement of American modernism. During the 1920s, Georgia created the paintings that made her internationally famous. Her enormous flowers. Instead of painting flowers as tiny decorations inside a vase, she magnified them until they filled the entire canvas. Petals became sweeping landscapes. Curves became abstract architecture. Color became emotion. People had never seen flowers painted this way. Many critics interpreted the paintings through psychological or symbolic ideas. Georgia repeatedly rejected those interpretations. She explained that people rarely took time to truly see flowers because they were always too busy. By painting them on a monumental scale, she forced viewers to pay attention. Whether audiences agreed or not, the paintings became iconic. Today, they remain among the most recognizable images in American art. But Georgia never wanted to repeat herself. She searched constantly for new inspiration. Eventually, she discovered New Mexico. The vast desert landscapes changed everything. The dramatic cliffs, ancient rocks, bleached animal bones, wide blue skies. She described the landscape as something that belonged to her before she even lived there. The desert became her greatest studio. While many people saw emptiness, Georgia saw beauty. She painted weathered skulls floating against brilliant skies. She painted red hills glowing under the evening sun. She painted adobe churches, black cliffs, and endless horizons. These works captured not only the appearance of the American Southwest, but also its spirit. They combined realism with abstraction in a way that felt timeless. After Alfred Stieglitz passed away in 1946, Georgia permanently relocated to New Mexico. She continued painting with extraordinary discipline. Every day she observed nature. Every day she searched for new forms. Even as her eyesight gradually declined, she refused to stop creating. Later in life, she experimented with ceramics and continued working with assistants who helped bring her artistic ideas to life. Her creative spirit remained remarkably strong. Georgia O'Keeffe passed away in 1986 at the age of 98. By then, she had become a living legend. Today, her paintings are displayed in major museums around the world. They continue inspiring artists, photographers, designers, and filmmakers. More importantly, Georgia changed the way people think about seeing. She proved that ordinary subjects can become extraordinary when viewed with patience and imagination. A flower can become a universe. A bone can become sculpture. A mountain can become poetry. Her greatest lesson wasn't simply how to paint. It was how to observe. In a world moving faster every year, Georgia O'Keeffe reminds us that beauty often hides in the details we overlook. She once said, "Nobody sees a flower really, it is so small. We haven't time, and to see takes time." Perhaps that is why her paintings still feel so powerful today. They invite us to pause, to look closer, and to discover that the familiar world around us is filled with endless wonder. If you enjoyed this journey into the life of Georgia O'Keeffe, don't forget to subscribe for more stories about the artists who changed the course of history. Because every masterpiece begins with a single vision and every great artist has a story worth telling.